Look, I don't mean to be racist, but hello and welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, a show where we debate takes so hot that they melt a planet with twin suns. My name is Brody, and I'm joined by my co-hosts this evening, Brian and Darth Chaco. We are going to be talking about the Acolyte, Season 1, Episode 5. We have it listed as title, so I don't actually know what the title of this episode was. But, oh, look, we listed it
It's night. Yeah,
it's night.
Right there.
It's night. Just like when you should watch it, something to put you to sleep. By the end of this episode, we'll have a very definitive answer on where this piece of Star Wars content ranks amongst the rest. Brian, before Darth Chaco joined us, I heard you enjoyed this episode.
I absolutely was riveted every single moment of this episode. Just
all right,
on the edge of my seat.
You just gotta hold it. You got your platform, because I know once I let you go, you just don't stop, and that's okay. That's why we love you. But I'm stopping you before you get going. Chaco, I'm looking at your numbers here. You gave it a 0%. I applaud you.
Wow,
thank you.
That's pretty brutal.
0%. Almost like I didn't put anything on the page at all.
There's nothing to say about this. I thought I was hard, and then Chaco comes in and is like, nothing. I have
not even canon. It's not even canon. Yeah.
Well, on tonight's episode, we're gonna go a little debate show format, because I know Brian likes it, and if I know anything about Chaco, he loves all things Star Wars. It has never had a problem with a single thing that's ever come out. So what we're gonna do, all of us are going to get 60 seconds on the clock to share your thoughts on the episode. Any takes, anything you want to say about it. And then we're going to give you, 3 minutes of feedback, some rebuttals. So we're going to try it out tonight. Brian, if you do get to 61 seconds, your point is just invalid.
Done.
And your ranking is lost.
Yeah.
All right. I meant to open up my timer. Instead, I opened up the calculator. So that is... that is not
add 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 until you get to 60. That's same thing in technology.
While we wait, I do want to say I met you, Brian, for the first time in person outside of a vehicle this week. So that was pretty
true.
Cool.
Yeah. We got to see who could punch harder.
Yeah, you can punch pretty hard.
I can. I got a lot of anger built up in me. I got to let it out.
That's a very weird story.
Is it? I don't know. We just fought. We just met at 6th Street, got drunk, and got in a fist fight. That's what happened.
I can't.
That's what men do. That's man stuff.
That's what men do. All right. Yeah, I will say, if you haven't been to Austin's 6th Street, y'all, it is it's really something. Okay, tell you what. Actually, before last time we did this, we had 3 minutes. So let's start there.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. 3 minutes to stake your claim, what you thought. Who would like to go first?
I wouldn't mind, just so I don't have to, think too much about it and get in my head, get super anxious about what I'm going to say.
All right, go for it.
All right. Well, the Acolyte is finally doing everything everyone Star Wars always wanted it to do. It's bridging the deep philosophy, the lore, with the world of the prequels, and you guys are missing it. All the prequel fans are, for some reason, the haters of this show. Like, it's valid to, dislike it for the way it's, shot or whatever. I think there's definitely some things they could do better, but it's literally no worse than the prequels. It is not a single bit worse than Phantom Menace, that's for sure. And it has some of the craziest action, some of the deepest lore, a lot of great cuts. I think my favorite thing about Disney era Star Wars, it has been just the conversation in between episodes. It's like from Force Awakens, there's all this speculation, and just today, just looking on Reddit, it is just flooded with theories still. There are just so many people that are really invested in these characters, and I was not expecting a lot of the deaths to happen, and that's what I love about setting this series in a new era with new characters. They've all been pretty lovable. I mean, some of them may be flat here or there, some clunky parts of dialogue, but that's nothing new to Star Wars. That's actually it's an homage. Let's just say it's an homage to pretty much the rest of everything. Look, Star Wars has never really been perfect, but the Acolyte is fun. It's passionate. It has, a purpose. I'm just so excited to get into the lore and to hear more of Chaco's, explanations and theories. Because just last week we were thinking, what if this Sith guy is actually just a helmet? What if it is just a Darth Moment kind of thing? We had no idea. And I was like, okay, it's this guy. But there's still a lot more going on behind the scenes. We're still probably going to get another flashback episode, and I'm going to hate it. But hey, this episode is what made the rest of it so worth it to me. The action was gripping. The music was tense the entire time. The way it was edited and cut was finally like it had momentum and a reason to exist. And just every character death just like was like gut punch to me. And I cannot see your screen, so I do not know where my time is at. You're trying to trick me.
How many 50 seconds?
50 seconds? Oh man. Well, where was I going with that? Sad the Keldor Jedi died, but thankfully it wasn't Plo Koon. Let's see. I'm loving just the most of all the philosophy of the Jedi and how different they all are, and how what a good critique it is of their different ways to approach grief and trauma and things like that. Sol is my favorite Jedi already. He is just a good example of how to take your past and channel it into something purposeful and new and beautiful, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I think he's going to figure out pretty quickly that they did the switcheroo, and that's not going to be a huge plot point. But other than that, I still can't see your thing now. 2-1, I think I nailed it, didn't I?
Yeah.
I had an extra 4 seconds.
You almost nailed it, but I couldn't hold my arm up that long, so that's not your fault. It's technically my fault, but
my fault because I can't.
Yeah, you really love this. Like, I really am happy that you love this thing. Like, it's very sweet that like they made this for you.
In like a bless your heart kind of way. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, this episode was.
I've been
made
in
for
Texas
me.
the last 8 days. Like, bless your heart, sweetie. That was that's really nice.
Yeah, that's what I said.
All right, let's. It's time for feedback. Brian, you just gotta listen now. We let you talk. Brandon, what do you got to say? Do you have anything to say to the entire love epic that was Brian's 3-minute? I don't even know. It's not even like a take. You just loved this episode. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, let's see here. If I'm playing, opposite Brian, because I enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed the hell out of this episode. But there are certain things I definitely would have changed. And I definitely think, especially that they released some of the behind the scenes footage of like Manny Jacinto training in a lot of those sequences, and a lot of them looked better shot in their training because it was like a wide shot where you get to actually live in the moment, live in the action. So some of the cuts I thought were a little egregious. Now nothing is as bad as like the Bourne Identity. Like, I don't even know what the hell was going on in half the fights. Alongside that, there is this episode and the previous one were technically supposed to be one episode originally. How most of the episodes have dual names of like that are opposites, right? Last one was day, this one was night.
Yeah,
there were one episode. That's why last week was my least favorite episode of the entire thing, because they didn't do enough. And there's some parts that had a little extra cheese on them, but honestly, I think that's a feature, not a bug. I can't dog on them anymore. I've run out of dog.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna put you on the timer because you got like nothing to say but agreeing with Brian. So I'm just gonna let you go.
Well, shouldn't if that's the case, shouldn't you go next? Because you're gonna rip things apart and we make it a sandwich.
We're gonna treat this like therapy, okay? Like, he gets to go for 3 minutes and then it's feedback time. I got 5 minutes and I'm just gonna I will just respond to exactly what Brian said. Not my own take, not my own opinion. Just Brian, lovingly, I would ask for you to reconsider what really is Star Wars. That's all.
Is that a question, or you want me to ponder on this for the next?
Just think about it. I just want you to think about this before next week. After everything that you've brought in, how much you love this thing, just ask yourself. What is Star Wars? Because I sure as hell don't know anymore.
Star Wars? No, I can answer. I can give you an answer. Star Wars is bullshit. Star Wars has never been one thing. It's always had its, interest pulled in different directions. And I love that we're at least getting variety. We're at least getting some, I don't know, more depth and new perspectives on the way the galaxy works, the way the Jedi work.
Look, I'm not saying I'm not gatekeeping here. I'm not saying Star Wars is the prequels. I'm not saying it's the OG. I just don't know what it is. So that's its own conversation, its own thing. At least with like Lord of the Rings, you have Tolkien. You understand, like there's this one source of truth. Star Wars is a lot of things. And so, like for you, this is something you absolutely love. And by breaking down what you love specifically based on what you just had to say, there was a lot of specific character elements. Like, what's his name? Saul?
Soul, yeah.
Soul. All right.
Mhm.
Soul. You really liked how, like, just everything with him, his empathy, his love, like
Mhm.
all these things that specifically make him different than everybody else. And all of these little things and how it ties into lore and like really happy Plo Koon is still alive. Like, that's great. That's what I'm saying. When it comes to tearing it down for you and feedback for you, I've got nothing to say. Just think about, what is Star Wars to you? It's not a knock. I don't have the answer to it.
I mean, I
I don't know
win.
what Star Wars is, but
Yeah.
I would just ask that you tell me a week from today, help
Mhm.
me understand it, because I just don't.
Well, I guess maybe I should clarify. I love this episode. I think very differently about the rest of the series so far. My love for this series does not equate to my love for this 30 minutes of
All right. Okay.
absolute
That's fair.
perfection.
That's fair. You definitely have not ranked anything else this high. I mean, 86% is high, but you know what? That is your ranking. You are entitled to it. Brandon, are you ready for time on the clock?
Sure.
State your claim, my friend. State your truth and talk about your review of this episode. Woo.
All right. I mean, yeah, I also think it was a great episode. I think that the last episode suffered from not much happening, but the fact that it was split is the reason for for that setup. And so this episode was entirely payoff. I thought it was beautifully, like, artistically shot, the way that we begin it by winding in on her after she's been knocked down, and there's all this wreckage, and you hear this battle, and this kind of peeling back of the we're fading in from fuzz to clarity, and then she gets up, and then we see the aftermath of the first move, and then we walk into it and we see what's going on. I thought that was brilliantly done. That was fantastic cinematography right there. Also, the choreography itself was I mean, this is probably my favorite. This might be my favorite fight in Star Wars. I think this is how I want a Sith to fight. He fought like a with fury. He fought without purpose in a way that they couldn't match or figure out. I love the deep lore nods. Obviously Leslie Headland and her team knows their stuff. We got the Cortosis. My man was headbutting lightsabers, and he kept a bunch of tricks up his sleeve. He pops out with some Tricata later on. Also, this is the High Republic, as Bruce Willis would say, welcome to the party, pal. Nobody is safe. No one you love is ever safe in the High Republic. And that's one of the great things about the book, and it's being set in a way that's separate from the Skywalker saga. I think, his arms, just his arms. But yeah, I love the theorycraft that comes along with him. I actually am not sold on him actually being a true Sith. I think we could very well be in a situation where he was formerly a Sith and he's out doing his own thing, because his answers, just wasn't proud of being a Sith. He didn't actually say he was a Sith. He didn't have a Sith name, and names are very important. Their powers are very important. Overthrowing the Jedi is very important. He didn't seem interested in any of that. So yeah, I can't wait to see it. I think people are already supposing an enemies to lovers with Osha and in him, which would be interesting. We got a little Kylo Ren theme drop at the end of the episode. Also, we had like some we also bring in the humor that, I mean, for me, the character of Basil is very George Lucas coded, and after all the wreckage of this fighting, he's just like hops around like a little guy. Yeah, I think this episode sets up a lot. It also gives us a peek into Soul's dark past, because he knows some things, he did some shit, and that's the reason that he is how he is and feels the way he does. And I think we'll explore that a lot more in the next episode.
Hot dang.
Wow.
Right down to the 1 second mark. That was
Beautifully
nice.
structured.
That was really good. You don't have your numbers in, so I'm just guessing you've semi liked this episode. somewhat.
just off the top of your head,
Really.
what would you percentage-wise give it overall?
He's got a
then?
good enough. He's got to put his numbers in. Okay, he's got to like throw them in, and then we'll know. Then we got the actual thing. But Brian, while he's doing that, do you want to provide any feedback?
Yeah, no, the whole Knights of Ren kind of theory is really kind of taking off on Reddit right now, and I'm loving that.
Yeah.
I do think there's a lot more to him than just he's a Sith apprentice, and I think there's a lot more to Soul. I don't know. I'm really hoping he didn't do anything too egregiously bad, and that he just carries guilt because he has a guilt complex. Maybe that's why I relate to him so much. And hopefully it was the other Jedi. Hopefully it was Indara's fault because I kind of get bad vibes from her. But yeah, I don't know. I don't love Basil. Basil just kind of freaks me out a little bit. I don't know. Basil is definitely the weak point for me. The last episode too. And then the last episode being all set up. Like I thought it was really weird and rushed. How was like running through the forest is what changed your mind. That's literally what May says. Running through the forest changed my mind, and I'm like. I mean, that should have been a more powerful moment. I think they could have done that a lot better 2 episodes ago when she actually has that confrontation with May. That's kind of what these Star Wars confrontations are when there's these intense character moments that have a history together. That's supposed to push you forward, not running through a forest. It was kind of weird to just throw that character change in the middle of a line of dialogue. But I love Manny Jacinto. He is incredibly intense to watch. I don't think I've ever been as scared of a Star Wars villain as when I was watching that dude just tear through Jedi. That's kind of the biggest thing for me is that this is one of the most compelling villains, some of the best acting I think we've had in a Star Wars villain, except, Christopher Lee.
Wow.
Exactly. I mean, Ian McDermott. Never mind. No, okay. He's the 3rd best. Okay. But I love Kamir. He is so cool. The helmet thing, he headbutts a lightsaber. That was so crazy. Come on.
No. And like, I did learn afterwards that that's a tie into whatever what do they call it? The Old Republic games or whatever. There's some.
I mean, that was specifically a tie into Thrawn Alliances, which is a story which like split between 2 time periods. And it's a Thrawn on an adventure with Anakin, and then it's Thrawn on an adventure with Vader. Years later. And one of the coolest things about that story is that essentially they find out on the Outer Rim that the ties go back to Palpatine, that they are making clone armor, specifically the Coruscant Guard with Cortosis weave. And people are like, huh, what's this about? So yeah, Palpatine was preparing for Order 66 way back in the day. They ended up shutting down, destroying that factory on Mokivja. I just did a Star Wars spelling bee and I got that word, that planet. Nailed it. But yeah, really cool lore knowledge.
No, that is cool. And I will say, like, his fighting sequences were cool. Did remind me more of, like, it felt like a more polished version of Kylo Ren. And it was a cool shot when he's like running out with his lightsaber at like full speed. She kind of turns around and it's like, there he is. So just feeling more like a banshee in the forest.
When he like jumps into her mind and it's like a close up on his face. And
well, I was thinking more like when the Padawan is like leaning down and she like kind of turns over and there he is like booking it at her.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh gosh, like this guy is something else. He is relentless. And
the shot when Jackie blocks his blow from killing May, that was some cool stuff. Jackie's really cool. Rest in peace, Jackie. Can we get a rest in peace for the Yord Horde and the Jackie Collecty?
Yeah, and I will say, like, that
I'm gonna dust off my old 3-hole punch just for Jackie.
Oh no! With that shot with Kamir, he's like, "Yeah, I've got this lightsaber. I've got this and this and this, but I'm gonna break this guy's neck." You're like, "Oh gosh, like that's all right." That was he's like, "I'm not Vader. I don't have all these Force abilities, but I got these biceps,
some friggin' guns.
I got them arms though."
Until Soul says, "I got these hands, though."
He'll have him throw some hands.
Yeah, he could have landed the killing blow there. I know that's kind of like a cliche hero trope to, the person brings him to the light side. Yeah, I think I definitely wouldn't have done that, but I also love the relationship between Soul and Ocean. I think that's the focus of the show, and I like that. That's kind of, I've always seen like Luke and Vader kind of like Vader's kind of trying to save Luke from himself sometimes in the throne room. I see these little things in there, but I love this was more like of a direct good version of that, where like you see clearly the relationship and how. That's not the Jedi way. He's unarmed and he, got away because that's what bad guys do. It's kind of cliche, but I don't know. It's also Star Wars. When is it
All
not?
right, well, with that,
cliche?
speaking of things that are cliche, here's me going on a little bit of a tirade about this episode. And gosh, Brandon gave it an 88%. You gave it an 86%. I gave it a 55.2. So it's 76.4 overall.
Hey, could be worse. I'm proud of what we did today.
Guys, yeah, that's
And if there was a fourth person on here, that 76 would be higher.
That's true. That is true. We are down a host today. So all right. I don't know who's got a timer or who wants to yeah, I know. I'm sorry, KG. There's I got some stuff to say. I did say all the good things, and I'm not hating on what is Star Wars for everybody else, but I'll put a timer on myself.
I got a timer.
You got a timer? Okay, cool. You let me know when to start.
Okay.
How is Manda? Manda is moving. All right. Oh, we're starting. Okay. Few things. Number one, I watched both episodes yesterday. I didn't know I was going to be on this show today, so I might have a couple of things mixed up between the first one and second one, i.e., the episodes 4 and 5. First thing I want to say, when they're in that fight scene and he's getting ready to kill the bad guy, Kamir, and she's like, "No, I'm going to sacrifice my droid and let these bugs get him instead." I'm just like, what the actual heck? Like, my wife and I look at each other like, what is happening? He's like just murdered everyone. And she's like, don't kill him. I need him. No. And I don't know. I don't know what was going on there. But anyway, that might have been episode 4. All I know is I saw it. I thought, that's wild. Nextly, she's like, I'm going to cut my hair and we're going to parent trap these fools. A Sith, whatever he is, and a Jedi Master are just like, huh. Something looks different. Your hair smells crispy. She's like, yep. He's like, cool. Let's go. And like, all right, that's fine. Whatever. It just kind of took me out of it. I thought that was kind of dumb. But hey, maybe he does know, and we'll find out this next episode. Whatever. The acting, goodness gracious. It was rough in many, many areas amongst many characters, especially the main actress for me. It's just when she has dialogue with herself between Osha and May, it is so bad and so stale and so obviously shot where it's not actually two actors doing this at the same time and actually like having this conversation with each other. Like it feels like one of those Ryan George skits that you'd see on YouTube. And it just kind of green screen and run back and forth. And how did I say this? So whatever. The dialogue wasn't great. The acting to me felt very stale in many moments. I liked Kamir in The Good Place. He was a joke. That was his role. Seeing him in this, I'm like, oh, those arms are not a joke. He's and I will praise, even though I am not bought into him as a villain at all, as far as like when he's actually the bad guy. Sorry, man. I still I can't see you as the dude from Jacksonville in The Good Place. That's just what you are to me. So overall, though, with that to be said, because lightsaber stabs apparently just don't kill people anymore, that 3 shots on that Padawan, loved it. And like, well, this will do the job. But that to be said, for some reason, Star Wars loves dark cinematography, fight sequences. So that was wild, but just not hooked and still not engaged.
Oh, you went like half a second over. I don't think we can count it.
You're smidge. The whole thing has been rescinded. It's now 100%.
Yeah. No, I hear you, especially about like some of the acting with Osha. I don't know. I at times I really like her. Sometimes it is just a little stale. It's got to be hard to act with yourself for sure. But I don't know. I find it intriguing that they're doing the parent trap thing. I think it's kind of maybe a little goofy, but it's like, I don't know, it could set up some interesting story stuff. She's trying to infiltrate the Jedi Temple. Maybe she had this planned all along. I don't really know. Kind of want to wait till the whole story comes out to really like deeply analyze all of their decision making.
I just
Yeah.
thought of Little Dicky and Chris Brown as I see those two. Just she wakes up. She doesn't know that she doesn't know she's supposed to be May when she wakes up. So just like my brain and my uncultured swine mind was just like, I woke up in May's body. Somehow I turned into who?
Okay, well, just full disclosure. Kyber knows that that's not May.
Yeah, he was trying to kill May.
Yeah,
And
he was
okay.
actually trying to kill May. So
He knows.
Kyber for sure knows, but I also
It's
think that
Kymer. I've been saying Kamir. His
That's
like
how I've been saying it. I don't know.
I can go either way. So
It's
don't
Star Wars. That's how it's supposed to be.
don't take mine.
No one pronounces things right.
Leia,
Yeah.
Han.
Han. Lando, Londo.
But I mean, but more than that though, with Soul, that's once again, that's not a bug, that's a feature. When he wakes up, he yells, "Where is she?" And she was like, "Who?" And he's like, "Your sister." And then he kind of pauses, like he was acting in that moment. You can cut back to the first episodes when he says, "Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them." He wants this to be Osha because he wants to save Osha, but he woke up instantly knowing that it wasn't her. He was trusting his eyes in this moment. I think that's definitely a feature. He doesn't care about May, and I think that's going to be part of the reveal. I think part of the reveal is that he could have saved May, or he knew May was alive and he let her die. I think that's going to be one of his big reveals. So yeah, that part actually tracked for me because of the way it was acted. He doesn't care about May, so when he yells, "Where is she?" he's obviously talking about Osha. In that moment. Now, what was the other thing you said? Oh, the sacrifice for Kymer. I hate the trope. I hate that trope so much. Where like Batman is going to like wheelchair bound 1,000 like just poor people who are just down on their luck in Gotham, and then the Joker, he's like, "But I can't harm you, otherwise I'll become you." And you're like, that man, there ain't no insurance here. Like, you've ruined that guy's life. You drop that person off a building. Do you think they're okay? They're not okay. I promise you. But in that moment when Osha steps in, she wasn't trying to save, Chimera. She was trying to save her master, because in that moment he was gripped in darkness. Like, you can see his demeanor change, the way he acted changed, his movements all changed. And that's exactly how Cameron responded. "I've accepted my darkness. What have you done with yours?" was the following line. So those things are storytelling tools, so I don't have a problem with them. Now, the dialogue thing, yeah, I thought it was a little stale, and I think that the character is a split between the actual actors' like personalities, and so I think if she's feeling one, she can do one good and not the other, because it really feels like it's typically an either or situation. But yeah, it is what it is.
Well, with that, should we go into the last segment of the show? Hot takes.
Let's do it.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
All right, it is hot takes time. Brian, do you have a hot take for us today?
Oh, always. All right, so in Star Wars, we get a lot of in-universe music. It's one of my favorite things to discover. But I think it is like not even close. And even the people that like this movie sleep on this piece of in-universe music and how important it is and how incredible it is. The Canto Bite music is by far the best in-universe music. Yes, better than Cantina Band, better than anything else. Canto Bite is just amazing, and if you don't like that movie, I don't care. Just go listen to that song alone and tell me that your life isn't changed and that you're missing out on some beautiful little golden nugget that you've just been shying away, just pushing away, just because you have all this bias, whatever. I don't know. You're sleeping on Canto Bite. Everyone's sleeping on Canto Bite. We need to talk more about Canto Bite. We should make that the theme song of the show.
Especially my boy Kedpin Shaklop.
Yeah, definitely that guy.
He's the greatest vaporator salesman you'll ever meet.
The best one I've ever met. That's for sure. I was just watching some of the behind the scenes of The Last Jedi the other day, and they showed a lot more of like the cut footage and the different extras, like the band that's actually playing in that scene. And I'm like, oh man, Canto Bite should have been 20 minutes longer. I don't know why people didn't like this. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's peak Star Wars.
Wow.
I think it's
peak Star Wars.
Yeah.
Honestly, I agree that it's peak Star. Like, I feel like if there's any part that George would love, it would be Canto Bite and seeing the characters run around. I feel that very strongly. And I think it's weird how people complain about it like it was half of the movie when it was literally 11 minutes long. 11.
Mm-hmm.
Total.
You can do a lot in 11 minutes, man.
I think there's some weird part. I think the transition between
your poor wife.
Scene.
Wait, yo.
I'm just saying.
That was
Hey.
wild.
All right.
I got straight. All right.
Wow.
You set me up. I'm not mistaken.
Well,
It's 11 minutes long and 11 minutes too short. I do hate the prison
anyway,
sequence.
I
Dialogue with
won't
DJ
even
is
say it.
weird.
I won't even say it. We've set ourselves up for something. We just can't go down. We have to pull ourselves out of that lane that Brandon threw us in. It wasn't. I didn't set you up. It wasn't an alley. It wasn't like I intentionally allied. I was actually like saying it, and I'm like, it was one of those things you say, kind of hoping to be cute, and everyone's like, okay, we get it. And Brandon's like, you mean this? Like, oh. So you like LeBron slammed that home. I was just off, like throwing it off the glass. Be like, yeah, nice. Brandon's like this. Anyway, okay. Yeah, man. Look, Canto Bite, as far as my whole thoughts on that, or all of my thoughts on it, it's fine. I don't even remember what the music was. It's so like not memorable. I remember leaving the theater and everyone hating it. And I was just like,
because they're dumb.
well,
Because they don't know what they're talking about. Because they don't appreciate
maybe
jazz.
that's right, Brian.
They don't appreciate jazz.
Everyone is just dumb.
Jazz? What
Ev-
is jazz?
I'm not
What
going to
is
say the
that?
actual word. I'm not going to
Watch.
say it.
Yeah, just
Jats.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
jazz. Oh, okay.
It was recently
Rebranded.
rebranded.
Thank you.
unfortunately
Oh,
the
thank you.
name is way too fitting with Brandon's jokes tonight. So, point is, I don't remember it. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. There it is.
Gotta listen to it right now. Right now.
So I guess
think-
for
I
you,
think it's
I'm
a hot
milk
take.
toast, but he agrees with you, so you get a jizzy.
Oh, what?
Indeed.
It's not that I agree with him, but I do think it's a hot take.
It's
Trying
something.
to
I'll take it. I'll
ask
take
people
it.
to spend more time in like their least favorite moment.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, Brandon, what do you got for us tonight?
My hot take is this: when you are a deranged fan that I am, and you watch if you've watched like a lot of like George Lucas's interviews, you read a lot of the stuff. I feel very confident that the stuff that he would like is the stuff that everyone hates and complains about. I would bet any amount of money that he would love Basil. I would bet any amount of money that he loved the kids on scooters and
Don't. Okay, hold on. Now. Stop.
I would bet.
Lost me. I had you. I was with you.
Let him cook.
I would absolutely bet that like he would love Canto Bite because of how weird everything is and all the creatures and stuff like that. I just feel That's his brand. His favorite episodes of Clone Wars are the D Squad arc, where you have a bunch of robots rolling through
Yeah,
like an endless purgatory for like ever.
true fans enjoy
And
that.
he actually specifically said that one of the reasons that he wanted to stop making Star Wars is because people want him to make stuff that he doesn't want to make. He wants to do weird stuff, and people don't like it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree, right? You're probably right on most of that. Now that little, whatever. Maybe he would have done that biker gang thing, and I'd say the same thing to him as said Robert Rodriguez. Shame, straight to jail.
I think he would have
Just
shot it a lot better. I think it would have had more energy, and come on, look at the pod race.
energy.
There's no way that wouldn't have been an awesome sequence if George Lucas hadn't done it. It's not the content; it's just that it was a really awkwardly paced scene, I think.
So there are a lot of elements where Star Wars decides to bring in, and George wasn't really like, there was things where he brought in real world stuff, obviously, like line for line what stormtroopers, right, from World War II. There was like some
We got a
cultural
50s
element.
diner in Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Yeah. So there are things. There are things. I don't know if we've had any like modern references though. We have a comment here from, it says, she says, what if Octo its name was changed to Octua? What what would you think if you watched the Star Wars episode, show, whatever, and you saw like, oh no, we gotta go save Luke. Where are you? Where is he? He's on Octua. And if you saw something like that in Star Wars, would you cringe? Would you be mad? Or would you be so happy that real world cultural references were brought into Star Wars?
Like memes, like that's not a really cool. That's just a meme. I think,
It's a
I think memes
cultural
have
movement.
taken up far more of our headspace than is healthy.
If you don't
It's a great
to her,
meme.
we don't talk to her.
Spit on that thing.
I would personally hate it. But I will say, I feel like I feel very strongly that in the eyes of like the zeitgeist as a whole, memes saved Star Wars. Memes saved the prequels. Without the memes, I don't think. Without being able to laugh at certain things, I feel like people would still hate it a lot more if it didn't become funny and something just in the zeitgeist as a joke.
I don't know, man. I would really be happy if this next episode they were just like, we got to get to Haktua. I would love that so much. And they never address it. No one says anything about it. That would make me so happy.
I just feel like what would end up happening is 5 years down, it would be like if you'd be watching something and then they would start doing the Gangnam Style dance, and then you're like,
maybe.
oh yeah, that was a thing.
I don't know if you had Uncle Owen and like Luke's not drinking anything, and you just hear Aunt Beru, get that boy some milk. I would die. I would love that. I don't care, even if it's old.
That being said,
like that would go a long way for me.
That's why we have.
That being
Family
said,
Guy.
I would love it. Okay, all right. So here's the next question I'm going to ask. What meme or thing that's modern culturally, you get to place one in Star Wars? Which one you choosing? Where you putting it? And I guess while you guys think about, I'll go first. The thing I would want to do is when is when Luke blows up the Death Star the very first time. He goes, anything is possible.
I would love that. And then KG just ripped him off. I love that. I would really like if there was a moment, maybe it would probably be in episode 2, maybe in the bar scene or somewhere. And then you just hear like, yeah, you don't want to sell me death sticks, and someone gets mad or whatever. It escalates a little bit, and he's like, cash me outside. How about that? I would love that.
I could see Elon Sleaze Begano saying something like that.
Yeah, it's totally in his character. I agree.
I would love that.
I think when Luke is on Haktua, as it is called now, and Rey gives him the lightsaber, I think he should spit on that thing.
Hot tour throws it right
And he
behind
just
him.
throws it all the way
Beats
into the
it.
ocean. Yeah, he didn't even throw it that hard. He wasn't trying to throw it away. He was just trying to, show the porgs what he
Spit on that
just
thing.
found. Yeah.
Oh, that is how much we are going to devolve this episode. No further. We've regressed enough. For those who are listening, we have rated and ranked 5 episodes of The Acolyte. This was indeed the best one at 76.4. Previously, it was the second best at 63.47, then 58.4%, 44.87, and 46.8%. Meaning this amazing season of a show. And for all you that think I'm just bringing this down, I've only reviewed like 3 of these episodes, y'all. So like, come on, give me a break. The rest of these, just the rest of the crew. This show sits at a 57.99% overall. So yeah, I mean it is, and KG, I get it. It is the best one. And that's
not
saying what it's saying. That's saying what it's saying for this show. So The Acolyte, it exists.
I'm having fun talking about it. Not gonna lie, I think the last
too.
3 episodes could be awesome. There's a lot of intrigue to
Hopefully.
see. So that's my favorite part.
Doubt it.
Everyone's so alive about it right now. They finally fired up the fandom. Now the fans that care and want to enjoy it are enjoying the hell out of it, and the fans that aren't, I think they're burning themselves out. I think they're all tuckered up. And it's okay if you don't like it, but like at least just, why do you have to make so much content nitpicking things that are not even true, not even factual arguments?
That's true. I don't really know, outside of myself, I don't know of any other people hating on this show, but I know they exist.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
All my friends are saying like,
I
haven't seen the show. My friends haven't even seen the show, but they all hate it. I'm like, they haven't even seen the show. This is how bad this mind creep happens. It's like these opinions are not their own. I think that everyone's influenced by them in some way.
I have a friend that texts me every week. I have a friend who texts me every week to complain about stuff in the show, and he hasn't seen it. But when he works, he'll listen to podcasts that talk about how much they hate it. And so like he spends like 20 hours a week listening to how much people hate it and hasn't seen a second of it. Which
is wild. No, I did watch one Jeremy Johns review, and it was funny a while back.
He's on it.
I like Jeremy Johns.
Yeah, he's the one person I've seen, and it was hilarious. He just roasted the whole thing, and so I agreed with him on everything he had to say. But there's other Star Wars content. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. This show just isn't hitting for me, but maybe it will at the end. I don't know. Either way, we're still going to talk about it, and I'll be hating, and they'll be loving, and that's how this end of the season's showing up to be. So with that, that's Duel of the Ranks. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks, or no, next week.
Yeah, 1 week.
Oh, bye.
Later.